Listen to that, man. Far out. It's groovy, baby. Hey, man. How you doing out there? Peace and love. All right. Welcome to 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir. Happy Sunday, friends and lovers. Thank you for joining us for Lightheartedness and the Supernatural. This is 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir, starting a couple minutes after the hour because, man, you know, I'll tell you, stuff. Thank you for joining us in a topic suggested by the Mrs. Amy Nasir. She is the princess of all things Halloween.
Yes.
She really, and
I see in my crystal ball, this is going to be a great show tonight.
You know, what Amy is wearing goes really well with what I'm wearing, but in case it's not obvious, she is a fortune teller.
Yeah.
She may even be able to
future.
Her powers are awesome. If you ask in the chat on YouTube.com or on Facebook, she may well be able to tell you your fortune right over the chat. She is that amazing. In fact,
send in your questions now, and I shall tell you the answers.
Yes. So I'm just bringing up the chats here, because Equal to Reality says, I am too young for this nonsense. Well, I'll tell you what. You know, I found out that, and I confirmed that in England of all places, they're celebrating Halloween more and more.
Yay!
And it's getting Americanized. There are countries in Europe where they celebrate Halloween, but it's kind of nasty, kind of dark, or cynical, or edgy.
Or they just get drunk.
Well, but that's okay. But more and more people are picking up the American sense of Halloween, which is just fun. Just fun and frivolity, and taking both horror and the supernatural and saying, well, we never had to take it all seriously, and making it fun, making it lighthearted.
Yes.
So I am all for that. But first of all, on this date, October 30th, 2022, this is the 303rd. We're into the 300s. Yikes, there's only 365 days in a year. The 303rd day of this year, 62 days remaining to make this your best year yet. If you haven't made that happen yet, reach out to us and we will tell you how to make that happen, or at least give you a few tips that you absolutely need, because there's only 56 days until Christmas. 25 days until Thanksgiving. We will be throwing the GLOW, the Great Lakes Objectivist Thanksgiving party this year.
Just like Mr. Bones, we're dusting GLOW off, taking GLOW out of the closet, making sure he's nice and finished and polished and spick and span.
Mr. Bones, I don't mean to be slenderness shaming, but you could use a few calories. So yes, GLOW Thanksgiving is coming up. You have just 25 days to make that. So how many days until Halloween?
1 day.
Yikes! 1 day until Halloween. Southeast Michigan friends, if you're not giving out candy on Halloween, shame on you. No. If you're not giving out candy on Halloween, come by our place, because Lord knows we will be. And then once all the little crumb crunchers stop coming by, we will light a bonfire, do some s'mores, and Amy will do some fortune telling.
This is correct.
She may read your tarot cards.
Yes.
She throws a mean tarot.
Right.
And on this day, yes, it is Devil's Night. Or Angel's Night.
Or Mischief Night. Well, maybe not
Mischief Night. Well, it's the funniest or the greatest or the almost hardest to believe thing. This show, 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir, broadcasts live. Can you feel the live energy from Southeast Michigan, from Motown, from Detroit? And for the longest time, for decades, for years, maybe since I was one of those crumb crunchers, the night before Halloween has been Devil's Night.
Devil's Night, where you go out as a teenager and you toilet paper and egg homes or burn them. We have record numbers of arsons on October 30th. And I know there are versions of Devil's Night or Mischief Night around the world. I know that's not exclusive to Detroit, but it got real bad here. The kind of, not just property damage, but assaults and violence and just terrible mojo. But not anymore.
And it was interesting because a few years back, I don't even remember which mayor, it might have been Dennis Archer, one of the few good mayors we had after the Coleman Young period,
yes,
declared, well, there is not going to be Devil's Night in Detroit anymore. It's going to be Angels Night. Now, I know that sounds so saccharine, and who's really going to do that? But the amazing thing was that then they got neighborhood boards involved and, private groups of people who do security in their own neighborhoods and all sorts of other organizations, and they actually made it work. And Angels Night is now a thing, and, there's still a certain amount of mischief on October 30th. Arson rates went way down. Crime rates went way down. It's amazing. You throw enough police at something, and it actually, you get less crime.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
It says in 2017, just 6 youths were detained in Detroit for mischievous behavior. A far cry from the chaos of the 1980s. And then days later, the city officially put an end to the Angels Night program. So I'm sure people are still looking out and everything, and they've got their Ring cameras going and such, but...
I'm sure there's still trouble, but it is amazing how it's... So anyway, happy Devil's Night, happy Angels. I like Devil's Night because it's not the toilet paper, the eggs, the crimes, any of that. Just, kind of like your favorite hot sauces come from.
Oh, the Satanic Temple.
You've got to have fun with this stuff. When you stop believing in devils, but all of the artifacts are still out there.
Devils are they're peachy keen. They really are.
We will have some fun with this. But real quick, let me wrap up. Because it's October 30th, also, you may have noticed, if you're in the UK, British summertime has ended. The headline I read said, British summertime ends. It's kind of late for summertime. But no, it's British summertime ends. BST is over. Now, if you're in the UK, you already know that. And if you're in the United States, you think, why do I care? And the answer is, because I do shows during the week. And what that means is, since 2 of the shows that I do are on the Ayn Rand Center UK, United Kingdom, the Brits, that means that if you're watching my stuff, then my Wednesday show will be at noon instead of 11 o'clock. And my Thursday show will be at 6 in the evening, not at 5 p.m. Just for 1 week. And then next weekend, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about how, the United States just got off daylight savings time too. So bear that in mind for the week coming up. Happy end of British summertime.
Oh, man. It's going to suck so bad. I hate this so much. It totally messes with everything.
How is it that the powers that be, and the problem is they are powers, which means they have no incentive to do the right thing. They have power. The arbitrariness reigns like some bizarre mystic in a Halloween party. How can they not make all this happen? If they can't get rid of the whole idea of summer time or daylight savings time and just get rid of it altogether, why can't they at least standardize it?
Yeah, politicians, they need to learn the story of that the man-made is not metaphysical.
Ooh.
And then they'll be like, oh, wait a minute, we can actually change things, and these are human constructs, and it's not something that is baked into reality.
Yeah, and in terms of priorities, reality comes first?
Oh.
Who'd have thought?
I understand, says all the politicians now, and they're like, I'm enlightened.
You know who knows that reality comes first? Emily knows that reality comes first.
Yes.
New series, Emily Talks. We talked about that last weekend because we got interviewed by the eponymous Emily. Emily just did a talk, one of her series on mental health and self-development, on mysticism. Now, this is interesting because she is dealing with topics where there's a lot of woo, a lot of mysticism, and she's saying flat out, no, I'm not a mystic. And I think mysticism is a bad thing. And yet at the same time, she's honoring friends of hers who have not received that message yet, who believe in spirituality in a way that can only be described as woo. So she is walking a fine line and doing it very rationally. She's meeting some real challenges, and I'm impressed with what she has done so far. If you haven't started watching her stuff, and we put links in our show notes before, there is a link in the show notes already posted to YouTube. I'll post them to Facebook after the show because that's how Facebook works, to one of her recent episodes specifically related to what we are talking about. I swear, listening to her episode, it was almost like oh man, she already did the show we're going to do today. But she talked about a lot of other stuff too.
Not entirely, but we'll see.
She didn't mention that October 30th, for example, is National Checklists Day. Now, who'd have thought there was a national holiday for making checklists? To-do lists. We've talked about to-do lists. I like to-do lists. My day timer, my schedule, my planner, I use a paper planner, is organized with a lot of to-do lists. There are pros and cons to that. But there are some folks who are so into checklists, they've got checklists.com as their domain name, and today is the day to celebrate that. If you're not one to make lists of things to do, maybe you've transcended that, but most people know they're just not that organized. I say do it. That'll be part of the homework for the end of the day. So I'll leave that there. Finally, happy birthday to John Adams, obviously no longer with us. He did live for 90 years. Mm-hmm. And the amazing thing about the amazing politician John Adams, so responsible for writing so many of our founding documents, is just the story of his passing. You know that he died on July 4th in 1826. And it's reported that his last words were, or may have been, Thomas Jefferson survives. Thomas Jefferson, his longtime friend and rival, because he didn't know, in those days, you didn't get on your cell phone to talk to people, he didn't know that Thomas Jefferson also died on July 4th, on that same day, and just a few hours before we lost John Adams. And happy birthday also to Arthur Fonzarelli, the Fonz, which is Henry Winkler, of course. Henry Winkler is still with us, born on this date in 1945. He is 77 years old, and all I can say to that is, So, there you go.
The Fonz.
The Fonz.
I think I'm going to find a motorcycle and jump over a vat of sharks today.
I gotta say, when they did that episode, they really jumped the shark.
I think you're right.
That is where that expression came from, that episode of Happy Days in one of the latter seasons, when Arthur Fonzarelli, among the other cool black leather jacket things he would do, was ride a motorcycle and do motorcycle stunts, but that wasn't enough. They did an episode where he jumped over a tank of sharks. And hence we have the expression jumping the shark for a television show in its waning days that tries so hard to keep an audience that it basically does itself in. And there we go. What are we listening to this week? Or watching this week?
So much.
So much. We did watch, well, we had a small version of a Glow Halloween party last night.
Yeah, we did. It was
a few of our favorite people here.
Yes. It was so much fun. I made really excellent, healthy turkey chili.
Oh, the chili was to die for.
Oh, it was so good.
Of course, on Halloween, everything is to die for. But no, very good chili.
But yeah,
Thank you.
we went through. We watched the It's
the Great Pumpkin,
Charlie Brown, and then we also watched kind of a historical, kind of random retrospective on Halloween in the 70s, which was really nice. And then we watched Bill Maher talk about cancel culture with regard to Halloween costumes. It was really funny.
Yes, All Scolds Day.
All
Scolds Day, the day after Halloween, when all of the pundits get on there and criticize you for your culturally insensitive costumes.
So instead of the boomers saying "Get off my lawn, you rascally kids," it's the Gen Z Zennials or whatever they call them. They're all saying, this is problematic. Get off my lawn.
Yes, you're not woke enough. So I didn't put that one in the show notes, but it was pretty funny.
It was.
Fair amount of adult languages,
yes.
And edgy humor, but yeah, it's worth looking up. Just look up All Scolds Day Maher, Maher, and you will find it for sure. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, we did watch It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Now, earlier in the week, we did watch Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yes.
Or Frankenstein. Oh, no, that's the other movie. So, yes, thank you, Jim, for the recommendation on that one. I swear I saw that one when I was a kid, but I haven't seen it since. And, oh, I'm sorry. One of my favorite people is in the chat. Carrie says, this is totally off topic, but I just wanted to point out how wonderfully centered your camera is with the artwork and pillows. A+ for production. I put effort into that. I won't say a lot of effort, but I put some effort into that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
I did a little bit as well.
Well, you brought Mr. Bones to the couch. He's been sitting at the piano all month.
Yeah, he is. He's been playing piano, and he is here with us tonight.
But he is here on the couch tonight, and so in fact, he's wearing my hat.
And if you have any questions for Mr. Bones, he will be very happy to answer.
Yes, sometimes they're very hollow answers, but we'll see what we can do. Yes, and I did present on Wednesday. James Valiant and I presented Tricks, Treats, and Terror. Can horror be rational? I thought that was an episode worth hearing. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll get around to hearing it sometime.
I still need
Amy
to
shared
listen.
with me this week. She hasn't seen any of my stuff this week, so I'm like, but the view counts tell me that some of you are watching, so whatever the view counts are, wherever we're at, I would just look at it and think, that should be one higher.
Yeah, I cannot wait to watch that episode.
Obviously, she can wait. But thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Peek Off Wednesdays have been great fun. We're still doing the book Keeping It Real, which is a series of questions asked throughout the course of Leonard Peikoff's podcasts. And yeah, James picked out 4 that were just perfect for Halloween. It was a great conversation, and yet we got into some serious stuff too. My Thursday show was on loyalty. And it was good. That's all I'm going to say about that. And finally, in connection with the On Loyalty, in the links for today's show, you will see I have a new playlist. You know, there's some playlists of these shows and the Thursday shows on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Robert Nasir. And there's a direct link right in the show notes to a playlist called All Good People, an Allies, Kindreds, Loyalty, and Friendship playlist. See, since loyalty was in there, you can see why that had to be put together in conjunction with my show for Thursday. And that is the week that was. And I said to Amy, well, I put together the week that was, and I looked at all the interesting things happening on this date. And we should talk about Halloween, but I don't know what to talk about. And Amy said, well, of course.
Let's talk about the supernatural.
The supernatural.
Yay.
Lightheartedness and the supernatural. And it was funny because she said that earlier today. And it was after that I saw Emily's talk in which she addresses spirituality and mysticism. And says to her very mixed audience of rationalists and more interesting people alike that, no, I'm against mysticism. She calls it badong, which some of you film goers will know means bad and wrong, which makes sense to me because wrong is bad and bad is wrong. Although I guess there's honest error. And that would be the case of her friends who say, no, there are things I get out of mysticism. I don't know.
I will talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to reconcile all this for you.
So Amy's going to put it all together. I like the expression, even though it's a little fuzzy, so I suspect the corrector would say it's woo. I like the expression, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Mm-hmm. But I'm still figuring out what that means. It's weird. I can't say that I have good definitions, so I guess that is woo. But what I see it's funny, in modern intellectual circles, they talk about rationalists as somebody who advocates reason and functions on the basis of reason.
Right.
But we also know in philosophy the term rationalist means somebody who rationalizes, somebody who uses ideas disconnected from the facts of reality, floating abstractions and concepts that are not tied to facts. And obviously I regard myself as the first kind of rationalist and not the second kind of rationalist. But a lot of rationalists, I shouldn't say some objectivists too, so let me just say a lot of rationalists do seem to be missing in the passion department. They don't seem to take their values, I was going to say seriously, but they certainly regard their values in rational terms and even work to achieve them. But I don't see the passion, I don't see the joy. I don't see a deep connection with I don't see introspection.
Right. And in that way, you don't see integration.
And in that way, you don't see integration.
And without integration, you can't have passion. Hey, that's a topic.
Without integration, you can't have passion.
That's right.
Wow.
Wow, man. Totally.
Far out. I'm digging that, baby.
I can't quite get myself to do the hippie thing, but I can do the Valley Girl thing.
You can't. Well, you're an '80s girl, and I was a '70s girl.
You mean young man?
Oh, right. Assert my masculinity there. Yes. It's been a while since I've been called ma'am, but I think it's not the length of my hair, it's just how shaggy it's been lately. That can't be a woman. No woman would let her hair go that way.
Yeah, you have beautiful hair.
I need to run the straightener on it. But I don't know, man. It's all good. You know, you got to do you.
You do you. That's such a condescending term.
That might not have been the right lead-in for your talk.
It's just like when you're telling somebody thank you, and what you're really saying is, you know...
Screw you?
Screw you.
Back in the fast food restaurants, that was something that we advocated. We may have some streaming issues here. Let's see. Uh-oh. No, YouTube looks good, but Facebook is kind of stalled for me here.
Oh, I'm okay with it.
Okay, I guess I just got to hit the play button there. All right. Okay, man.
All right, man.
So...
Nothing to worry about here.
So, Amy Nasir. If mysticism is the acceptance of allegations without evidence or proof, either apart from or against the evidence of one's senses and one's reason, per Ayn Rand, obviously what we want is not mysticism. What we want, though, is, we want the fun. We want the fun of the supernatural because, like fiction, it's fantasy. It's not real. It's not natural. But is there still fun to be found? And is there anything we can learn about ourselves from it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, please share.
Okay, so Robert is giving me the floor. And so I have some notes here. Okay, so I just want to say that I'll just start with a story. Last night, I was able to give two of my objectivist friends, and Robert, a tarot card reading.
Her friends and me. People she likes and me.
Over there, that hippie guy. And it's interesting because I've had these they're Halloween themed tarot cards, and they're just freaking adorable. They have all sorts of like just Halloween themed. If you're not familiar with tarot cards, think of playing cards. You've got like the Jack, you've got the King, you've got the Queen, you've got the Ace, and then you have the numbers. And then you've got, in the tarot cards, you have things like the Magician, the Fool, the Empress, the Emperor, the Chariot, the whatever it is. And actually, I've got this tarot card cheat sheet right here in front of me. The Hermit. And then you have certain things, that are not necessarily personality related, which are the Wheel of Fortune and Temperance and the Tower and the Moon and all of this other stuff. So it's just a fun little, the way that I describe it, it's a fun game of introspection. Introspection. So
fortune telling is an opportunity for introspection.
So you have these characters in this card, and then you have it goes on to be like, the Three of Bats, and that has a specific list of character traits or circumstances or outcomes that it describes. However, just as you can look at, say, what Luke Travers does in his wonderful touching the art method of reading artworks and applying significance to your life while you're looking at them, or you're reading Ayn Rand and you're like, hey, Francisco is my favorite character and here's why and here's what I have in common with him, or here are the traits that I see in him and I want to attain those traits, those sorts of the personality and character traits and virtues, and I want those to be in my life. So, so you have all these descriptions of those kinds of, not just circumstances or outcomes, but character traits in these cards. And, So the way that we did this last night was I did a 3-card reading. And if you've ever been to a tarot card reader and you've paid, like $40 and thrown it out the window or burned it or thrown it in the toilet. No, I'm just kidding. In halfway. So, you've got somebody who's got, 11 or 12 cards spread out on a table, and there's just tons of cards. The more cards you have, of course, the more room for interpretation and the less specificity in the cards. So you can't really narrow anything down if you have 12 cards on the table. But I chose to do the 3 cards, which means the first card that you pick represents your past, the second, your present, and the third, your future. Ooh! And so then you look it up and you say, here, let me get my cheat sheet. You say one card is the 4 of Wands, which means homecoming, celebrations, family, friends, and reunions. So that can be your past, that you come from a nice background, you have a lot of support and love and friends and family and a lot of people to go to for help. And what you do in this is that you ask a question of the cards while you're shuffling the deck, so as to release your cosmic spiritual and person onto, or energy into these cards. You're just shuffling the deck. All right. So the first one represents your past, and say it's you've got a great family or whatever. The second one represents your present, and that could be the Wheel of Fortune card, and that represents good fortune, a turning point, luck, taking a gamble, something like that.
Game shows.
Yes, becoming a game show host. And the third card could be, say, the 8 of Pentacles, which is mastering your craft and enjoying your work, your employment. So you can kind of integrate all that together. You've got a great background, a lot of support, a lot of friends and family. You've got this thing that's happening in your life that is a turning point, that's changing, or you're questioning something or whatever. And that's going to result in finding work that you enjoy along those lines. So if your question is, should I get a new job, then you can interpret that as you've got support, you have a question, and yes, you should get a new job and find something you love to do for your employment. You should find something you love. Ta-da!
Wow. All of that, and you're telling me I got to go work for the man.
So
peace out.
So again, I mean, it's just like art. If you want to use art that way, I think it's a great way to do it. I think, Luke Travers kind of gets into that a little bit, especially when you are with him in a setting like an art museum, and he will ask you certain questions about yourself and how this might actually be significant to you. Do you see yourself in this painting? Or you could talk about the painting in terms of what you've experienced in the past, so tarot cards. That's what they are.
Tarot cards as a means of introspection and self-examination.
Yes. My actual phrasing here is a game of introspection, using your imagination and logic to tease out evaluations of your past or your current actions or consequences of your future actions, a way to find the words to give yourself advice, enabling you to think longer term. There you have it, everybody. There it is. The secret. Okay, but I should tell you, I haven't yet listened to Emily's wonderful talk about mysticism yet, but I'm sure I will do that very soon, and it's great. But I want to just let you know that that there are people out there who are tarot card readers or however, and they will say, well, it's not necessarily about anything supernatural or anything religious or anything like that. It's just a self-help tool. But then again, people do kind of step over and cross that line between having the locus of control is you. In other words, this is your life. This is, you are the one who is taking the actions, and you have the free will. And so whatever the tarot cards tell you or indicate doesn't actually mean anything. It's just a way to, tease out certain consequences of your actions that you might take in the future. But the thing I need to warn you about is, of course, don't think of it in terms of the world or the cosmos or the spirits are talking to me or God is talking to me and that God wants me to do that, because that takes away your internal locus of control. It takes away your free will. It takes away your sense of self-responsibility, takes away your empowerment to actually take it, to give yourself credit for the action that you do take and to learn from your mistakes. You don't, and when you foul up, you don't just throw your hands up in the air and say, God was testing me. And just leave it at that. No. You need to think it through. You need to say to yourself, these are my actions, and I'm going to take control of them. I'm going to take responsibility for them, and I'm going to learn from them if they were mistakes. So anyway, let me know if you have a question for the tarot cards. I'll go ahead and just take out one tarot card. I'll interpret it for you, and I'll give you the answer.
All right. You get a free tarot on this show, Joe.
Wow.
Now,
far out, man.
I got to say, when I was young, we used to play board games, except the games we played were, more than just roll of the dice games. Even a game like Monopoly gave us at least a sense that someday we might like to be property owners or businessmen, and that there was strategy involved. Monopoly didn't teach you a lot, but it helped put you in that frame of mind, and it was fun, and it was fantasy, but it also made us think, I could do these things. I could own a house. Hell, I could own a series of houses. Maybe I could own a hotel. Maybe I could run a business. And games can give you that. We used to play Risk, and I probably learned as much about geography from Risk as I did from my geography teachers. But, we learned about strategy and what it would actually, had a sense of what it would be like for armies to actually engage across borders and what that meant worldwide. Games give you some of that, and you end up applying what you do in games, not just what you learn, but the experience of actually engaging with those subjects. You end up applying that to real life, and Halloween can give you that. Play acting, costumes, kind of activities, party games for Halloween can do that. And I see no reason why, if you are rational and you know what's real and what's not, why tarot card readings and fun things like that, fortune telling, can't do the same thing. So I'm all for it. I'm good with that. Where I run into a problem is when people get involved in silly things but don't acknowledge the fantasy aspect. So, for example, I know some young people who are into Wicca, modern day witches. And I know some of them who say flat out, yes, it's silly, it's just fun, it's play acting, it's costume party, it's just fun. And yet, you do these things and you make friends in real life, and you get some wisdom in real life, even though it's just a game. The problem I have are the people who do that, and I know some of these folks too, who say, no, I really believe it. Maybe it's not exactly like the book, but I think something's there. That is a line that people need to learn to draw, or else they just need to stay away from that stuff. And I would say the same thing about fortune tellers or tarot card reading. You've got to know what part of it is real and what part of it is, it's just the game that lets you get to the insights or the wisdom, or helps you, in the words of Amy Nasir, read your own mind.
Yes.
I love that. And I'd love to think that everybody can do that. But as James Valiant mentioned, or I mentioned, but he had told me about on Wednesday, A recent poll show, I want to believe this is not accurate, and it was all just, clickbait, but apparently it's true. 50% of Americans believe in ghosts. Not in some disconnected, obscure, maybe there's something out there, but it really in the sense of haunting houses ghosts. And this one I can't believe, but he tells me it's true. 7% of those polled believe in vampires.
Wait, 70?
7.
Oh, 7.
7%. Sorry if I said 70. 7 to me floors me. Real not necessarily everyday walking amongst us, but they are out there. They are a real thing. Vampires.
They'll rationalize to be really. I mean, they're going to be loosey goosey with their concepts anyway, because they're going to say, well, there are vampires out there. There are just people who are, I guess, mentally disturbed enough to actually drink blood, which is gross. I mean,
among other things.
I mean, really. I mean, it's And then they go around, they dress all gothy and everything, and they're like, oh, super sexual and all this stuff, and it's like, if you died of blood loss, it's not particularly sexy.
Not sexy.
No.
Baby, make me die of blood loss. But what a way to go! In pain and writhing in misery. What a way to go. No, apparently it's supposed to be something really sexy about that. I haven't figured it out yet. So yes, I love the idea of play acting. I love the idea of plays. I love the idea of costumes. I love the idea of anything that brings us pleasure and joy approached rationally. And rationally doesn't have to mean dryly and without passion. All it has to mean is that at the end of the day, you know what was real, what wasn't. And you got real values, real pleasure, and real friendship and connection, celebration, fun.
Regarding our lack of belief in vampirism,
yes.
Emily is saying, "Are you kink shaming?"
Oh, Emily, someday we'll talk about that because I believe in kink shaming.
Oh.
Now, you've heard me say that before. I think some things have to be over the edge, otherwise nothing is exciting.
Yes.
If everything is vanilla, if everything is okay, then nothing is kink, and where's the fun in that? So, yes, there have to be standards, otherwise you ruin everything. Well, that's for another time.
Yes, we can talk about
in
that
the meantime, wherever you get your thrills as far as being bitten on the neck, you go for it. Go for that.
I mean, I think vampires would be less sexy if they went for your artery in your leg. That would not be particularly...
Yeah, it's not just about the blood. So there's a style element involved here, too. Come on.
It's not quite like necking if you're going for the artery in the leg.
Yes.
All right.
So what I love about your tarot readings and all of the fun stuff that we do like that is the introspection aspect.
Yes.
And the gaining of new wisdom.
Yeah.
Seeing insights which you would not necessarily have reached directly reading a dry text or hearing a lecture.
Or somebody else, I forget exactly who, but it's a prompt to question what your values are and what your actions are and how to take action.
Yes.
Yep.
And the introspection is powerful. I was reminded of a observation on introspection on Wednesday because in the Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology, Ayn Rand did these workshops, and they were published later by Harry Binswanger after she had passed away because they were informal. But she said during this, a major source of men's earned guilt this one's from the essay. Let me read the one from the Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology first. If men identified introspectively their inner states, 1/10 as correctly as they identify objective reality, and think about how accurately she thought most people identify objective reality. If men identified introspectively their inner states 1/10 as correctly as they identify objective reality, we would be a race of ideal giants. this is the degree to which she regarded introspection as important. And then, yes, what she said about this, she said, a major source of men's earned guilt. Ooh. See, in philosophy and objectivism in particular, we talk a lot about unearned guilt. You want to be aware, on the guard for unearned guilt. A major source of men's earned guilt in regard to philosophy, as well as in regard to their own minds and lives, is failure of introspection. What was I talking about earlier? The people who are very rational but not passionate. Sorry, let me start from the beginning again, real quick. A major source of men's earned guilt in regard to philosophy, as well as in regard to their own minds and lives, is failure of introspection. Specifically, it is the failure to identify the nature and causes of their emotions. An emotion as such tells you nothing about reality beyond the fact that something makes you feel something. Without a ruthlessly honest commitment to introspection, to the conceptual identification of your inner states, you will not discover what you feel, what arouses the feeling, and whether that feeling is an appropriate response to the facts of reality, or a mistaken response, or a vicious illusion produced by years of self-deception. The men who scorn or dread introspection, again, this is Ayn Rand writing, who, again, some people think of as very dry and doesn't give enough credit to emotions. The men who scorn or dread introspection take their inner states for granted as an irreducible and irresistible primary, and let their emotions determine their actions. This means that they choose to act without knowing the context, the reality, the causes, the motives, and the consequences or goals of their actions. The field of extrospection is based on two cardinal questions. What do I know, and how do I know it? The field of introspection, the two guiding questions are, what do I feel, and why do I feel it? For anybody out there who's thinking, yeah, introspection, I don't know about all that. If you have any doubt about the importance of knowing what you feel and why you feel it, or as Amy Nasir says, the power to read your own mind, there's another person's opinion on the subject. Yes. So if I can get through a few roadblocks or a few insights I might not have gotten any other way by sitting in on one of Amy's tarot card readings, I'll buy that for $1.
So do we have any questions for the tarot?
Ooh, I don't know. Let's see. I've got to catch up on the chat real quick here. Because otherwise I can wind us down here.
It's true.
But I know you already answered one or two there.
Well, I am shuffling the tarot deck right now, adding all of your energy into the cards. Woo, woo, woo. Boopity woo, woo, woo.
Yes. All right. I don't think I missed anything that requires an answer in the chat. So unless anybody has any more questions, and get them in real quick, I'll say real quick that my Post-it note for the week says, because every week I do post a Post-it note somewhere where I will see it as a reminder to me of things, usually things that I already know, that I look at throughout the week, that keeps me on track or helps me regain a skill or is in some way valuable. I love Post-it notes. I recommend that you have Post-it notes available all the time so that when you think of things, you don't just let them go. So my Post-it note for this week says, do it again. I once put up a Post-it note that said, do it, a reminder to just, take action. Don't overthink. Think of Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. If you think of something, within 5 seconds, take action on it, even if it just means writing it down or a small first step. And the reason is, when you make a decision, you've got about 5 seconds where your drive will be stronger than ever, and after which your drive will feel very low power. So you want to capitalize on that first 5 seconds. So I already put up a Post-it note that said do it again sometime back. I may do that one again as well. It's good stuff. You'd be surprised. What do you mean do it? It sounds like, who's that meme by? That one, I forget, somebody will tell me in the chat, do it! Very mindless. But it is a reminder that, yes, when you decide to do something, take action. Doesn't mean do the thing, although there is the 5-minute rule. If you don't know that one, the 5-minute rule just says, if there's something you figured out you need to do, and it takes less than 5 minutes to do it right away. But yes. So my note for the week says do it again. And this is just to tell myself not only to do it, but if I've done it before, I can do it again. It's easy to do aphorisms and affirmations that say, you can do the thing. Sure, you've never done it before, but if anybody has ever been able to do it before, you can do it. But what's interesting is that most of the great, amazing, awesome, unbelievably valuable things that I need to do are things that I've already done before. And this is true for you as well. Oh, I just saw myself in the monitor. I should be saying, man, this is true for you too. So yes, do it again. Find those things you've done before and do them again. If there's something you're finding challenging, whether it's planning your next career move or going out and raking the leaves or whatever the thing is, if you've done it before, you can get yourself to do it again. You can complete the task. You can make it happen, and you will. This Post-it note goes up on my mirror this week for the next 7 days. I will look at it every time that I brush my teeth. I was going to say brush my hair, but you see how often I do that. And it will be reminding me, whatever I've done before, whatever those successful actions were, just keep doing them. Do them again. Yeah.
So before we go, I would like to just take a moment to express my love for Halloween and tell you all why I love it. I know we've talked about this on this show before.
You are the princess of all things Halloween.
Yay! So yeah, I mean, in terms of the way that I like to frame it is that there's a reality basis for Halloween. Obviously things are dying and all of this stuff, and it's getting colder, and and it's and you've got it's a dreary time, and yeah, there is some in that way, because it's the end of the summer. It's sort of like the end of the year in a way. So the mythology behind it, the supernatural ideas behind it, is that you've got that death is, and the spirits of the people who are dead are all around you, and because of that, things like divination and fortune telling are a little bit more powerful. They got the juice or something, and you're going to be able to actually divine your future more easily during this time, because spooks and spirits are around, and somehow they have the ability to help you or something divine the future. So that's one part of it with regard to Halloween. But what I love about Halloween, all of these ideas like divination and everything, and tarot cards have been around since the 1400s. They were not originally used for reading the future. That kind of came along more in the 1800s with the
printing press
and the Victorians.
Oh.
Those rascally so in other words, you have more people in the 1800s who are earning more, they have more free time, they have more time to be nostalgic, they have more time to use your imagination and be and romanticize the past. And so yeah, they're going to come up with all sorts of interesting things, not just fortune telling, but spiritualism, seances and trying to contact the dead. Thanks the Victorians for putting all that together for us and making us believe that kind of thing was also was more prevalent back
yes.
in before that. But no, it's capitalism that is and trade that is giving us more free time, more time to kill, time on our hands, time to go to haunted houses, time to get tarot card readings, time to do all of these interesting things, and fun things, and role playing and dressing up and playing pranks, and Mischief Night and all of that. It's a wonderful thing. I think it's something to do while the weather gets really dreary, is to celebrate. Just like Christmas, just when it gets really, really cold, you have something to look forward to, something to plan for, something to brighten up your month, and something to take your mind off of how freaking cold it is. That's so, and the whole idea of holding parties and eating strange foods and dressing up and all of that is a wonderful thing, and it's a reminder why it's so important to live your life fully and with all the vivaciousness you can summon. Some people call Halloween, I think Bill Maher said this in his segment, that it's kind of like a safety valve. It's sort of like a time to just let it all loose. But actually, I think that it's a time of inspiration. It's a time of seeing yourself in a different light, in a different role, with a different character, asking yourself if that is something you want to be more of, and taking those character traits, whether you find them in what you wear for Halloween, or in a tarot card or whatever, or in a spooky movie, or in the heroes that you love, and apply them to your life and say, I'm going to start my next year anew with this aspiration, these aspirational goals. Yes. So use all of these things to better your life and to have fun.
So I mentioned that half of the country, or maybe it's worldwide, that would make more sense, but half of the people believe in ghosts.
Can I tell you what ghosts are?
Sure.
Ghosts exist when all of your senses and your hormones and your fight or flight response kick in with cortisol and your adrenaline and all of that stuff. When you can't see in the dark, when you hear sounds that you can't explain, it's just a misfiring of your senses and your hormones, based on this idea that you are allowing yourself to actually believe in disembodied souls, in consciousness without a container, which is truly ridiculous.
Well, that makes sense, because what I was going to say was, it might seem strange half the people believe in ghosts, and then I remember, well, in America, and I guess the number is not quite as high in Europe, but in America, well over half of the people believe in holy ghosts. So maybe I shouldn't be that surprised.
The ghosts of Swiss cheese.
That people are willing to believe in things that they can't see. Now, but not to make light of it, but I want to make light of it. And the reason is, one of the points we're making is the mysticisms of the past, despite all of the damage that they did, the symbols are still with us, and we can, having gotten over it all, be light about it. We can be lighthearted about it. To steal a phrase from another context, we never had to take all of it seriously, did we? And in that regard, we have a question for Jim Ashley in the chat who says, a question for Mr. Bones, is there a lady in your life? Now,
okay, all right, Mr. Bones.
There's
Go
not.
ahead and draw a card.
Yeah, there's not a lady in Mr. Bones' life, but Amy's going to do a quick tarot reading here and try to get an idea if there will be a lady in Mr. Bones' life.
It's got Mr. Bones' spiritual energy in the
card.
Well,
yeah, he's touching it, so that's going to make it accurate.
All right, Mr. Bones, you have 8 of ghosts. And
the 8 of ghosts.
8 of ghosts.
Some of the characters are different because this is a Halloween tarot deck.
Oh, Mr. Bones.
What does it say?
He suffered a loss in love.
Oh.
8 of ghosts basically means a moving on from abandonment.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, that would explain.
So you got to move on. I think he might be pining for some other Mrs. Bones. Maybe our ghost lady that's hanging up in the window.
It would explain why Mr. Bones lives with us.
It's true, I think.
But yeah, the
he
ghost
hasn't
lady
left
might be
and
a
gotten
good
married.
We should have put her where the cameras could capture her. We'll take photographs.
Well, I think Mr. Bones, I think you now understand that you need to do a little introspecting, and you need to kind of let go of something that you can't quite have in your life right now, and you need to focus on yourself, and you need to move on. And
I think he needs to take action. Chin up, Mr. Bones. You need to knuckle under and get out of this joint.
So he needs to move out and get his own place.
Oh, I don't know about that. But yes. Finally, my homework for the week is that I'm going to be... Remember, it's checklist days. Today is National Checklist Day. So I will be making a checklist for the approaching holidays. We've got Halloween tomorrow, Thanksgiving right around the corner, Christmas just 2 months away. And I'm going to make a checklist, make sure that I don't let things fall through the cracks. You know, I love doing everything on paper. Actually, for the art earlier today, this was my boohoo here. So if you're not already part of Meeting for Art, you need to get on Facebook, become part of that group, and meet with us on Tuesday nights and Sunday afternoons. But also, I love paper for doing checklists. I'll be making my Christmas and Thanksgiving to-do list. Halloween, I think I've got covered, although I should write everything down. If you're interested in doing the same assignment, do that. Take a piece of paper, a scratch pad, or your organizer, your daytimer, wherever you write things down, and make a list of the things that you've got in mind for this holiday season, just to make sure as the season rolls along, stuff doesn't drop through the cracks. Again, that goes hand in hand with my Post-it notes of the week. Do it again. And I think we are ready. We are ready to have a great Halloween. It's going to be good. Again, if you're in Southeast Michigan, get in touch with us, because if you're not giving out candy, we are. And you could be here helping us out with that. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been 5 minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir. Something
Yay.
like 5 minutes, or some set of 5 minutes is.
Many 5 minutes is.
A double plural there, which in my dictionary is absolutely valid because I write my own dictionary. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for supporting us for those who support us.
Thank you for supporting us for those who support us. If you would like to support us, shout out, because one of our contributors actually raised his contribution this week. That was super sweet.
That's
if you're listening, you know
great.
who you are, and we deeply appreciate it. But if you want to become one of the supporters of 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir, go to robertnasir.com and click on either the Patreon link for monthly contributions or the PayPal link. Oh, I can see people giving me the stink eye there. PayPal has been such a mess lately. You know, they threw...
You felt that, huh? You felt the energy.
I did. Well, that's why you should contribute monthly via Patreon, so you don't have to deal with those PayPal people. Either way, robertnasir.com, both the links are there, and the links to everything else that I do in the show notes on the website. We've got the Substack and the Facebook group and the YouTube channel and Twitter and all that good stuff. And thank you. Thank you for being part of the Robert and Amy Nasir experience. Please engage with us on any one of the platforms. Be in touch. And if you need a good tarot reading, Amy may well be able to hook you up.
Yes.
And in the meantime, we wish you a happy Halloween. We wish you success. We wish you massive flourishing. We wish you all of the fun and all of the candy, even if it's not literally candy, because we've been eating really healthy, especially her, lately. We wish you all of the sweets and treats that you so richly deserve. And as always, we wish you love.